can't live by bread alone. Yeah, this word got food in it. Stepping on the devil dome, you should see the bruise in it. Backing out the scripts, told a demon to stand down. Go against the Most High, we gon' see how it pan out. The Father gave me hope, fill me with the ghosts. Now they hate it when I glow. Joseph with the coat, looking for their fruit, but they ain't got no cantaloupe. The Messiah or Belial, you can't be a fan of both. Can't serve two masters. Bread of heaven with the living water, yeah, serving up a truth platter. We ain't idolizing no folly, now we setting up a new standard. When Christ touched down, make the whole earth shake like Bruce Banner. Yeah, bringing them troops to ya. End times getting spookier, warfare getting nuclear, mankind getting goofier. They intoxicated with a wine, damn, she done roofied them. I'm checking every word, spirit doctrine like a proofreader. I hate these Nicolaitans, hate these graven idols, man, I hate these flipping pagans. Trying to play my father and I hate these imitations. Screaming out Hosanna, we escape that simulation. Better flee them evil deeds or else that lake is where you layin'. Great is he inside of me, casting out this net like I was by the Sea of Galilee. Harvest gon' be plenty, but the laborers are few. Matthew 17 and 20, there ain't nothing we can't do. I can't be no lukewarm, fringes with the blue on. Devil wanna deal, but I told him this ain't Groupon. Praise to the Almighty, you know we gon' sing a new song. Hail the King of King, the Ultra Low, no Jimmy Neutron. If you keep his laws and his commands, then we can fellowship. I don't get with Pharisees and I don't rock with Hellenists. I ain't praising man, cause only Father get my reverence. I'm swimming in the word, it got me feeling like a yellowfin. Yeah, big stepper, Mr. Demon Chin Checker, trying to hear that well done, cause I feel that displeasure. Father pouring out the wrath, and he got a big measure. If it ain't about the kingdom, then I don't give a six letter. You got faith in the Messiah, you got power. I was clean up in that blood just like a shower. Isaiah 5, you were the vine that came on sour, but now we stand to giving glory in this hour. Yeah, we breaking them curses, fleeing the ways of the serpent. Follow his word and pray for discernment, cause they want us laying in hearses. We gotta rise up, raise and resurface, choose life and stay in your purpose. The price was paid like a merchant, through Christ who came as a servant. See, the kingdom is ready to bag, but yet somehow they chasing a Birkin. After this you ain't getting a chance, while you living you can't but a searching. Gotta call on his name like it's urgent, never knowing that day is emerging. So repent at the weight of perversions, judgment coming, that thing is for certain. Let's go.
All right, Shalom, family. First and foremost, I want to give all praises and all glory and all honor to the Most High God, whose name is Yahweh. Of course, I do so in the name of his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shah, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. It's your brother Shah Ariala, joined by the brother Shah Mayasha Allah. We are of the House of Bread. All right, so you guys see the title of today's lesson, right? We're diving into prophecy, Jacob's trouble, World War III, and current events, right? Let's make sure we share the video, get them likes up. Make sure if you guys are new to the channel, make sure that you subscribe. All right, before we dive into everything, we're gonna play a track, and then we're gonna get right back into it. Let's get more people in the chat.
Ain't rockin' with no false prophets. Don't know what that feel like. Gon' wanna hear about your dream. No Martin Luther King, boy, this is real life. You came in like a savior, like you had a favor. My people still die. I can hear the pain and they still crying. They still sighing, you still lie. Ain't rockin' with no false prophets. We don't know what that feel like. Don't wanna hear about your dream. No Martin Luther King, boy, this is real life. You came in like a savior, like you had a favor. My people still die. I can hear the pain and they still crying. They still sighing, you still lie.
It's a lot of bloodthirsty wolves rapping in the prey wearing sheep's clothing. And I don't like snakes, keep my grass cut so low you can't need more. Boy, your ears itching, you a hypocrite. What you doing when the book closed? Woe to the pastor that scattered the chosen, causing division, we gotta expose it. My people, they out here starving, you at the ATM making deposits. Some of these niggas be worse than these Christians with fringes and ribbons on hips of their garments. Do anything for the clout, praising your house shot out of your mouth. But lead us to slaughter like slaves at the auction, you traded your life in the field for a house. In the latter days, there'll be many that are going to depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits, doctrines of devils falling away. And in that day, many shall say, have we not prophesied in that name? But all those that loathe thy law, the same will know it after death through pain. Like damn, you was just banging on Esau. Now you all hell banging on these laws. What's up with your doctrine? I thought you was solid, my nigga. I never thought you was a fall. I know we all gotta answer to God. Yeah, how I know that I'm bearing my cross? But any man teaching, don't keep the commandments. At least up in heaven, I'm praying for y'all.
False prophets, don't know what that feel like. Gon' wanna hear about your dream. No Martin Luther King, boy, this is real life. You came in like a savior, like you had a favor. My people still die. I can hear the pain and they still crying. They still sighing, you still lie. Ain't rockin' with no false prophets. We don't know what that feel like. Don't wanna hear about your dream. No Martin Luther King, boy, this is real life. You came in like a savior, like you had a favor. My people still die. I can hear the pain and they still crying. They still sighing, you still lie.
Purchase your tracks today.
All praise to the Most High. So, yeah, just wanted to run that track back. We started running that track. Our last presentation this past, what was that, Saturday? Yeah, this past Saturday we went into some major history. As you can see right here, this was the thumbnail for
Sunday.
presentation. Was it Sunday?
Yeah.
Sunday. This past Sunday, so 2 days ago. Right, so we went into Acts 17 and we broke down who were these certain Epicurean and Stoic philosophers that Paul was speaking to, right? I demonstrated through history, right, scholarly sources, how the term for Epicurean, epikursum, was used in first and second century Jewish writings that literally relate to a heretical Jew, right? So the Jews, right, they saw individuals who had the same mindset as the Epicurean doctrine as heretics, right? The Sadducees, their doctrine of there being no regeneration, there being no resurrection, that was literally influenced by the Epicureans, right? We went into the history with that. We went into the history of Stoicism, who it was founded by. It was founded by a gentleman by the name of Zeno of Chittim. Zeno of Chittim, who this source that I have right here, this source right here says emphatically was a Jew, right? We went into the history of Judah and Dan and other tribes engaging in maritime commerce and how it was Jews from Crete that went and founded Troy, right, which is known as the Troas or the Troad region of Asia Minor. And that's where Cleanthes, who is the second Stoic head of the school of philosophy, who Paul actually quotes, that's where he was born, right? So he was a Jew as well. So we prove emphatically through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, through history as well as through the scriptures, what's going on and how salvation is exclusive for the children of Israel. And as we dive into the topic today, right, of everything that's going on in the current events, right, Trump going into Venezuela, right, them capturing Nicolas Maduro, right, them trying to take Venezuela's natural resources, right. We see him popping it to the Colombian president as well as to the president of Cuba, right. All of this is going on while here in America, we see Northern Kingdom getting rounded up by ICE, right. We see all types of just turmoil, civic unrest here in Babylon. It's abundantly clear that we are in the last days. World War III. Many say that World War III has already started, right? Many say that World War III has already started. We haven't gotten to the thick of it. We haven't gotten to the heat of and the climax of World War III, right? But it's abundantly clear that the world in various places are going to war, right? So all of this is very apropos given what's going on to the children of Israel here in America as well as abroad, right? The children of Jacob, we are truly in trouble, right? So we're going to dive into some prophecy and demonstrate how what's going on in the global scheme of things, right? Just going into geopolitics, how this lines up with biblical prophecy, all right? Again, family, make sure you guys like and share the video. Right, let's get more of our brothers and sisters into the chat. Shalom to the elder Yabakwash, Shalom King. He asked, "How's the baby doing?" We appreciate you. The baby's doing well. He just turned 4 months a couple days ago. He is going through a sleep regression. So we've been blessed over the past few months. Little Shar Yahweh has been giving us about 8 to 10 hours a night of sleep. And now he's learning a whole bunch of stuff, right? He's getting heavy. He's starting to teeth. So he's going through a sleep regression. And last night he was up from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm exhausted, but all praise to the Most High for increase. And, as we get closer and closer to the end, right, we're going to increase in the spirit and continue to abound in doing the work of the Lord and including this week. Right? Make sure you guys go over to HIBofficialzion.com. Link is in the description. Right, get you a copy of the Hebrew Israelite Bible. Now, right now we're coming off of the so-called holiday season. So, brothers and sisters who ordered prior to the holidays, your orders are coming in soon. Again, our publisher was a little backed up. So as soon as I get your tracking numbers, you guys will be getting yours. But if you have not gotten your copy of the HIB, the Hebrew Israelite Bible, get your copy today at HIBofficialzion.com. The link is in the description, right? And if you were tuning into the Acts 17 breakdown, you can use code Acts 17 for 17% off your HIB order today. Right? All praise to the Most High.
Listen, man. If you don't got a Hebrew Israelite Bible, you call yourself a Hebrew Israelite, man. I don't know what you do. You should be ashamed of yourself. That right there is a staple in this community, man. You don't understand. That's historical, right?
All praise to the Most High.
First ever in this community, right? To have the actual Lashuan Kodash transliterated names, right? Places. That's a powerful thing right there, man. So if you're an Israelite, man, that's something you definitely want to, patronize, right? Because like I said, that's a major staple. That could be a family heirloom. That's a powerful thing right there, man.
All praise to the Most High. So yeah, man. Let's dive into it, man. So, I've been posting a bunch. If you're not following me on Instagram, or my IG is at Lion of Yahweh, and I'm always posting news from Twitter, right? Get a lot of news from Twitter, from X, right? And like I said, we are knocking at the door, right? We are close to the end. Actually, let's go to Matthew chapter 24. Let's bring that out real quick, and we'll just demonstrate prophetically how we are clearly in the end days.
God.
Right. So let me pull up my browser. Here we go. All praises, right? So let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 24. And let's start from the top.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, from the top. And Yahushua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple.
Mm-hmm.
And Yahushua said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another, that shall not be thrown down.
Right. So we're talking about the temple, the buildings surrounding the temple, right? All these buildings all those stones will get turned over, right? Because he was prophesying 70 AD, right? So in Matthew 24, right, and this is why there's a doctrine, a false understanding known as preterism, right? Where you have people who believe that everything that Christ prophesied here in Matthew 24, that this has all been fulfilled, right? Insanity, right? Because he talks about in Matthew 24 him coming in his glory.
Right.
Yahushua has yet to come in his glory, right? So Yahushua is talking about 70 AD, and he's also talking about things that will happen in the end of days, right? So let's continue.
Verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be?
Mm-hmm.
What shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?
All right, so they asked a couple questions. When shall these things be? What things? The things that Yahushua just told them about in verses 1 through 2, right? Which is the destruction of the temple. Now, because they asked all these questions back to back to back, and he gave them these answers, this is why the apostles thought that Yahushua was his return was going to be within their lifetime, and that deliverance for the nation of Israel would be within their lifetime, which was in the 1st century AD. Now, obviously, there's been a lot going on in the Hebrew Israelite community. We've seen some precipitous declines amongst individual who have been regarded very highly in the community all throughout 2025 and into 2026. And, you know, there's this falling away that's happening, right? And all of this, of course, coincides with end time prophecy. But the point is this, right? The reason why a lot of misunderstanding about what's going on in Acts and what's going on as it pertains to salvation, right, is the apostles' application of certain prophecies, end time prophecies, to their day. This stems from them asking Yahushua about what's going to happen to the temple, and then what's going to happen to what are going to be the signs of his coming, right? They're equating him coming with the destruction of the temple and all these things that he just spoke about, and with all this being within their lifetime, because of course they had a certain understanding of the prophecies. They understood that you had these 4 beasts, and they understood that they were living in the times of the 4th beast, which is the Roman Empire, right? But that Roman Empire would fall and would be reborn, right? And morph over time, as we see elsewhere in prophecy, that they were missing that one piece. And when we look at Acts, the 1st chapter, when they ask, will you at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel? It's because they had that understanding based upon this conversation that Yahushua had with them, right? So he tells them about all these buildings of the temple, them being toppled over, right, being thrown down. And then privately they ask him, well, tell us when these things shall be. When is the temple going to be destroyed? When are all these stones going to be overthrown, right? And what shall be the sign of thy coming in the end of the world? They equated all 3 of those things to being at the same time, right? Let's continue.
Again, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you.
Take heed that no man deceive you, right? No man, right? No man, woman, or child, don't let no one deceive you, right? And a lot of brothers and sisters in this community are being deceived right now, right? a lot of brothers and sisters are being deceived right now. You have a lot of brothers and sisters who, after all of this nonsense has been going on, right, brothers have been falling out of the faith. And that's a heavy judgment, right? Being a stumbling block, right, to the sheep, right? Yahweh told Peter, if you love me, feed my sheep, right? You got to feed the sheep with nourishing food, with the bread of life. And this is why our model here at House of Bread is Matthew 4:4, right? When Yahweh was tempted of the devil, right, after he was imagine you fasted for 40 days and you starving, right? Y'all know how it be during when you keep Day of Atonement, right? The last couple of hours, man, it get tough. I'm in my first Day of Atonement, man. I'm drinking all this water beforehand, trying to get myself ready. And then as soon as the sun went down, almost as soon as the sun went down, I had a major headache. I was like, oh my God. Yep. And that's just how it was. So imagine that for 40 days. And Yahushua, when tempted of Satan, he quoted the scriptures. He quoted the word of God. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. And that's what we teach here, right? So don't allow anyone to deceive you, right? Let's read on.
Verse 5. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach.
So again, I haven't heard of this nigga in a minute. Remember Yaju Judah?
Yeah.
He claimed to be the Messiah. There was a brother, I forgot the brother's name. This was on my old channel before it got clipped. Nigga, he said, yeah, I'm the coming Messiah. What? Yeah, Yahushua's the Messiah, but I'm the coming Messiah. I'm like, okay. Just bugged out, right? So there will be people saying that they are Hamashiach, that they are anointed, and they shall deceive many. Read on.
God, and Salakia, not just that, Yahushua talks about, the body of Christ, right? And, pretty much, given a parable, how the body of Christ is, pretty much the representative, right? Those just coming in his name, right? So it's not just them that's literally saying in Christ, but also you got the Christian church. You got people that's saying they're coming, with what Yahushua said. You see what I'm saying? Saying they're teaching what Yahushua taught, right? And are actually deceiving many, right? That's why we're putting out the Christian church. This is one of the biggest faiths over the world. It's got the world completely deceived, all right? So,
absolutely,
there's many deceivers coming, whether it's directly saying they're Yahushua or just coming like they're the representative of Yahushua, just deceiving everybody, man. And that's why a lot of the world, atheism so-called is growing so heavy now because of this.
Yeah.
So many different teachings that they're saying is coming from Yahushua.
Absolutely. Right? That kind of reminds me of this. So this is Jude. This is one of the brothers of Hamashiach Yahushua, right? So it says here in Jude 1 and verse 3, it says, Beloved, when I gave all diligence to write unto you of the common salvation, it was needful for me to write unto you. So notice how he said the common salvation, because they still thinking salvation was coming within their day, right? And I'm not mad at the apostles for believing that, right? Because guess what? If we understand that the Bible teaches regeneration, right? Every brother who's out on the highways and byways and teaching, right? We hope to be some of these men in the Bible who were positive examples for our people, right? So I've been in this truth for 7 years, and listen, there's been so many times like, oh, we about to get up on out of here, right? They just simply were hastening the day, right? But anyway, Jude goes on to say, it was needful for me to write unto you and to exhort you that ye should earnestly contend for the faith which was once delivered unto the saints, right? So this is why, a lot of people, they have their opinions about how I go about things, especially over the last year or so, right? And honestly, I don't give a damn what niggas think. By and large, I at the end of the day, I'm simply just trying to hear, well done, my good and faithful servant, right? From the King, right? And of course, he's speaking the words of the Father, right? So I don't really care. However, right, we see these examples in the scriptures telling us to contend for the faith, right? That's what I've been doing, right? This Acts 17 breakdown, contending for the faith, right? The Cornelius breakdown, contending for the faith, right? all going against that nonsense John 1 doctrine, contending for the faith, right? And again, we have to feed the sheep with nourishing food, right? Listen, I'm not giving my child not eating no McDonald's and no damn GMOs. Nah, he's gonna eat whole foods, right? Nourishing foods. And again, same thing for my brothers and sisters in the truth, right? Yahushua, our big brother, said, "Call no man father," right? So I don't see any of my brothers and sisters as my children, right? But y'all my siblings, right? And I'm gonna take care of my siblings the same way I'm gonna take care of my child, and same way I'm going to take care of my literal siblings, right? But anyway, verse 4 says, "For there are certain men crept in unawares, who were before of old ordained to this condemnation, ungodly men, turning the grace of our God into lasciviousness and denying the only Lord God and our Lord Hamashiach Yahushua," right? So this is happening throughout the ages. There's no new thing under the sun, right? But let's get back into Matthew 24.
Again, Matthew 24, starting verse 5 from the top of verse 5. "For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet."
All these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. We're close to the end, right? We have wars and rumors of wars, right? Listen, any day now, Trump in the state of Israel should be launching attacks against Iran. Everyone's on high alert in Iran. Right now, we see all this civil unrest in Iran, right? They're trying to topple over the government, right? The banished prince, right? The prince and the son of the former Shah of Iran. He's saying, "Oh, I'm ready to step in and be the leader for Iran," right? But know what's so funny about that is that this guy is friendly to who? The state of Israel,
right?
And he's friendly to America, right? Iran's like, nah, bump that. We're just not rocking with Israel. Look at what they're doing to our Muslim brothers and sisters in Gaza, in the West Bank. They're not having that, right? And when the first situation happened with Iran, right, what were they talking about? They were talking about regime change. Here we see, here's the guy that they propped up last time, right? The guy that they propped up last time because, again, he's cozy with them. He's going to allow them to have access to their oil and whatnot. It's all about the money. Follow the money, right? Same guy. It's the same playbook, right? So all of this turmoil going on in Iran, I said it the other day, this reeks of the whore and the rats. That's what it reeks of. It reeks of the whore and the rats. But this is the same thing that they do all the time, right? But let's continue. So we got wars and rumors of wars. Read on.
And Salakia, just on, just a little sidebar, like, we've been this doctrine, the One West, fundamental teachings have been being pushed out, especially regarding, small hats and these things that we're seeing now taking place, right? And it's no coincidence. Like, we used to get flagged for talking about the small hats. It's like nobody could. Your channel's getting clipped, stuff. But now we're at a point we're seeing everybody and their mom, major platforms coming at the small hats. We're seeing hella information just left and right spewed all over there to where it's a point where they, now they're talking about changing the Second Amendment, the right to speech, the First Amendment.
All types of stuff, bro. First Amendment, right to speech, yeah.
And we know you attack that. These people, this all this stuff is inciting rumors of war, civil war. I was at work today. This is an Edomite talking to me. He's scared, scared for his family. Talking about like this is some movie shit going on right now because he's seeing like it was about to be like it's civil unrest right now, but it's about to be some national, civil war. We might see another civil war, which could just spark, everything into where they want to go. Because we know Esau, the mark of the beast. We need everybody to be forced to take this. Also, giving more reasons, civil war to institute martial law and institute that. Then they really just go rampant in these different countries. Trump talking about Mexico's next on his hit list. You know, all these things roll into place. You know, and this stuff is, like I said, it's playing out. We're seeing a lot of symptoms of these things being, right there at the door. So it's a lot more rampant now. And it could pass by. It could be, some more birth pains. We don't know, but at the end of the day, we know, like I said, like we're reading, wars and rumors of wars. This rumors of wars is just spiking again, right? First it was Ukraine, Russia. Then you had Palestine and Israel, right? Then you had with
Iran and Israel.
You see what I'm saying? So a lot of stuff is ramping up again now. And who's it involving? Who's at the center of it again? Right? The whore.
Babylon is smart.
Yep. So, but like I said, now all of America, all the world is just calling them out. Everybody's just wilding out right now.
Absolutely. I'm trying to find the original, but it's this gentleman by the name I don't know his name. He is a Moabite, Professor Zhang. He is Professor Zhuqin Zhang. And he has a YouTube channel called Predict, and a YouTube and an Instagram page called Predictive History. And a brother has sent me a clip the other day. Actually, let me go ahead and copy the link. The video is basically this little Elamite chick, and she is commentating on what he's saying. I'm trying to find the original, but I can't. But I'm gonna pull it up in just a second. These are some predictions about what's going to happen in 2026 that he's looking from a historical aspect, right? So all these wars and rumors of wars. I was just watching Redacted earlier today. They had former I forgot what was his title, but General Michael Flynn. He was an advisor of Trump, a national security advisor of Trump during his first administration, and he's currently now not in administration, but he was just talking about everything that's going on with America and Venezuela, and then you got the threat of China and Taiwan, and you got Russia, and you got all this stuff, and then you also got this schmuck talking about taking Greenland, right? Yeah, all the stuff that's going on, bro. Like, this is all lining up to biblical prophecy. We're going to demonstrate a little further, but let me pull up this video real quick.
Yeah, I seen that too, man. This man talking about just moving heavy, like,
what the hell? This is not
talking that talk. We need him to talk for real. But we need him to walk that walk too, man. For real.
This
talking about Mexico, man. Go do it, right? Rile up Issachar. Right, we know what the words say about Issachar. All right, you got to think about Issachar, man. For real, their government isn't what runs their country. We know who run their country, right? That cartel. You go in there and start messing with, they might you mess around and see some type of unification between the cartel and their actual government on a higher level. So now they're sending out these coordinated attacks, because cartel is not just down Mexico. They're here in America. They start sending intel up here. Go do this. Go do this. With Mexican government, getting insight. They collab. You never know that could blow up in America's face. Trump, trying to move out on Mexico like that.
Absolutely. All right, let's check this out. Watch this.
In for about China.
Let's see if
This video. So we can expect civil war in the United States. Then you're gonna have the Americans start to attack Venezuela and possibly other countries in South America. So America is in for a bad time. Okay. China Yeah, I mean, Japan, China, and India, they all have conflicts with each other. But also, what we should expect is that America starts to embargo China, meaning America uses its sea power to block China from accessing resources from overseas. And China imports most of its oil and a lot of its food. So if there's a blockade of China, you can expect the Chinese economy to really suffer, okay? All right. But and then what we can expect to happen is America at some point will go to war with Iran, and this will destroy both countries, okay? Iran will not lose this war, but it won't win this war either because America's just going to bomb the crap out of Iran. It's just going to send Iran back decades. But America will lose this war, but this is important because America loses war, it's forced out of the Middle East. And once it's forced out of the Middle East, all the military assets goes to Israel, which creates the Pax Judaica. Yeah, does that make sense, guys? That's the plan. Okay? Pax Judaica.
So at the end of this video, this professor talks about Pax Judaica, which is basically New World Order. So after the US and Iran go to war with each other, both countries will be destroyed, neither country will win, the US will be pushed out of the Middle East, but all of the US's assets will then be transferred to Israel. Israel will emerge as the winner. Corporations and tech companies like Google will then move to Israel to create a global surveillance system. Right now, Israel has the most advanced surveillance system in the world. And at the same time, Mossad agents will be all around the world like they are right now, creating division and chaos. And for that, you need financing. So the banks from the US will also move to Israel. And the Israeli currency will then become the global dominant currency. Does that make sense? That is how we arrive at Pax Judaica, the New World Order. But here is the slither of hope that we have. So back in September of last year, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan signed a defense pact that had the language of a NATO-style alliance, which is something that no Muslim nations ever had before. This is what the West fears deeply, is all of the Arab nations, all of the Muslim nations, creating a NATO-style alliance. This would threaten their power, which is why they pour trillions of dollars to create chaos and instability in the entire Eastern region. Here's what's interesting. The UAE is normalizing relations with Israel, and that threatens Saudi Arabia's sovereignty. So Saudi Arabia is quietly creating diplomatic relations with Iran when they historically have been enemies. It is unity. Unity is the only thing that can save us from Pax Judaica and New World Order. Please watch this video.
So there's a lot of things that was said by the young lady and the professor that I can see some things happening, right? I can see Japan, China, India having conflicts, right? There's already tension amongst China and India over, I think it's called the Kashmir region, right? China has been leading in that, and they've been building a ton of roads over there, but they've been actually having actual physical squabbles between Indian and Chinese soldiers there, right? Japan is a U.S. ally, right? When China invades Taiwan to reunify Taiwan with mainland China, Japan's going to be sucked right into it, right? The Philippines probably going to get sucked right into it. Of course, the U.S. is in it, right? So we're literally, what we have here, which is very similar to what we saw that led to World War I and II, was the entanglement of alliances, right? You know, America having security guarantees for certain countries, things, this, that, and the third. America is stretched too thin, and it's all for the sake of national security and national interests, right? This is why Trump's talking about, Denmark needs to sell Greenland to us. If not, we'll take it. That's going to backfire. The thing is, the Most High God has Esau in a trick bag, right? And the pride of Esau's heart is what's deceiving him, right? So we're going to get into a little bit more of that in a bit. But Baba Kushal, give me Psalm 33 and 10 real quick. Watch this. Because she's talking about Pax Judaica. Yes, that may be the plan, right? That's what is the state of Israel. I saw a video the other day where apparently they had slayed a red heifer, and they're trying to build the third temple. They're not going to. So they have plans, but the Most High God, one thing I found out this past year is, listen, if you want to make the Most High God laugh, tell him your plans. Okay. My mom My mom's actually coming down this weekend to come visit the baby. And just last summer, my mom was down here for the family reunion. And she's like, oh my God, I just want to be a grandparent. And me and my wife both said, listen, you better ask my brother and sister because you didn't get no grandkids from us. Fast forward a couple months. Hey, Mom, we're pregnant. So listen, I've been saying for years, I don't want to have kids in Babylon. I don't want to have kids in Babylon. Yeah. Now
you couldn't tell him he was having kids.
I said, hell no, I ain't have no kids in Babylon, right? So the Most High God, he is a perpetual and a habitual rainer on people's parades. All right, let's bring this out. Psalm 33 and verse 10.
Khan, this is the book of Psalm 33 and 10. The Lord bringeth the counsel of the heathen to naught.
To what? To
naught. He maketh the devices of the people of none effect.
Of none effect, right? Listen, it's their plan to do X, Y, Z, right? Pinky, the brain from Pinky and the Brain, he had a quest for world domination. The state of Israel, they have a quest for world domination, right? That plan is going to get foiled, right? Read on.
Gone. Verse 11. The counsel of Yahweh standeth forever, the thoughts of his heart to all generations.
Come on.
Verse 12. Blessed is the nation whose God is Yahweh, and the people whom he hath chosen for his own inheritance.
And who's that? That's the children of Israel, right? But there's people that have you believe that, hey, God's going to choose other people too, and they get access to the new covenant. And all types of other nonsense, right? This is not what the scriptures say, right? The scriptures say, blessed is the nation, right? Blessed is the nation whose God is Yahweh. Right? So these people have this plan, right? And this is plan for so-called Pax Judaica. It's not going to come to anything. It's going to come to naught, right? The Most High God is going to bring the counsel of the heathen to naught and make their devices of none effect, right? But let's get back to Matthew 24.
Right, it was at verse 5.
No, we were at verse
6.
We were 7.
Verse 7. Verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places.
So we've been seeing earthquakes in diverse places. We had a huge pestilence from what was that 20
2018 to 2021.
Bro, like all of that shit was a blur, bro. The whole pandemic, right? Famines, right? There's more famine coming here, right? Especially as inflation goes up. Right now, we're about to get blasted with a crazy winter. Right? They're saying like there's record lows coming. It's gonna be as low as like 50 something degrees in Florida and crazy stuff like that. Right? It's about to be cold. Right? So that's gonna have an effect on the crops here. Right?
You think about it, right? Even with famines, right? Famines almost inherently bring pestilences. You know, when you think about the herbs and stuff for medicine and whatnot. You know. Proper, people not having access to these things, that's going to bring pestilence. There's going to be a lot of sickness, a lot of malnourished people. That's going to bring a lot of sickness, which is in turn pestilences.
Read on.
Verse 8. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you. And ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise.
And many what?
False prophets shall arise.
Let me throw the trap back on. Many false prophets shall arise. Read on.
And shall deceive many.
And shall deceive many. So, like, I'm going to just keep it a buck, right? There was the other day, this nigga Deacon, man. This nigga Deacon said something on Facebook talking about, One West is a small pond. We're reaching all these people, all this sea of Israelites, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, this is not a flex. Like, this is not a flex at all. Yahushua says, blessed art thou when men shall revile you and speak all manners of evil against you.
Right.
Then he also says, Curse art thou when all men shall speak well of you, for so did their fathers, the false prophets. Like, it's very easy. Listen, if I wanted to make a bag, I would lie to black folk. I would lie to blacks and Latinos, right? I would have this all-inclusive, all-encompassing doctrine. Hey, everyone can come. Oh, wide open. Everyone can come. The Hawashai says straight is the gate, and narrow is the way that leads to life, and few there be that find it. Many are
Even if
called.
it wasn't a bad, like, people got an obsession with validation too. Like, if you just want to be valid in the eyes of people, you could just lie, just say something that just sounds so good.
Mhm.
And then, you know, this is what's wrong with all these so-called IG model shorties. Like, a lot of insecure women, but they feel validated because why? They post themselves up. They see everybody like thousands of likes, thousands of views. Now I feel good. I'm valid. See?
Mm-hmm. Listen, man. It's not. Listen, that's something that I came to grips with earlier this year, right? Now I've been building my channel since 2018 when I first came into the truth. Been building that channel, and you know, it all got taken away, just for me doing the right thing. It is what it is, right? And I've been rebuilding this channel through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And, you know, a lot of times within the Hebrew Israelite community, people want to talk clout and numbers and views and this, that, and third. And all, like, that means nothing. It absolutely means nothing. And prior to, I could see myself kind of falling into that kind of mindset. And I realized that none of that means anything, because the Most High God said, I will bring one of a family and two of a city, right? When Gideon was to go down to fight, I think it was the Midianites and the Amalekites, he had 10,000 men. The Most High God numbered his men down to 300. You numbered them down to 300 because the Most High God gets more glory, right? When he used a small amount.
Mm-hmm.
The Most High he loves the underdog. He loves the underdog. The Hawashai has been the underdog. The nation of Israel has been the underdog, right? The fact that the so-called Jews, right, the state of Israel, that they're in charge of everything, they have all this power, shows that they're not the underdog, right? Numbers 24 says that when he looked upon Amalek, he took up this parable and said that Amalek was the chief of the nations, right, the head of the nations, but his utter end shall be that he perish forever, right? They're not the small of the world. They have more power, right? They have the most power. One of the most powerful groups of people on the planet Earth.
They covertly have our power, honestly.
Yeah, and they boast up that power in their minds because they feel like, oh, we're God's chosen people.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. God's chosen people are the base of the world, right? Because God's chosen people aren't keeping His commandments. But let's get back into Matthew 24.
11.
Verse 12.
Verse 12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let that resonate. Because iniquity shall abound, the love of many wax cold.
Yep.
And we see how there's no love in this place, especially amongst our people, man. Constantly all day online. What is it? Our men versus our women, right? Just hatred. But you know, you got the divestors and the man. It's all types of madness. Our men constantly online talking the stuff they hate about our sisters. So I'm saying, like, this is back and forth. But all of that is because our people, especially our people, but not just the world, right? It's just in a state of just no shame for your iniquity, no shame for how foul you is, right? And it goes on both sides. Not even, they just don't realize it, but that's why the love of many shall wax cold. That's why, man, you know, and it's only going to get worse, right? It's only going to get worse. Verse 13, but he that shall endure until the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come.
See, now this is important, right? Because Christians and Hebrew Christianites alike, They want to, the Great Commission. Yahweh Shah said, listen, this gospel of the kingdom, first and foremost, what is the kingdom? Who's going to have dominion in the kingdom? It's the children of Israel, pursuant to biblical prophecy. Thus saith the Lord, right? The gospel, the good news of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. This is a testimony. Listen, this is going to happen, right? Israel's going to have control over all of you guys, right? What the young lady called Pax Judaica, right? It's going to be Pax Yasha'ala, right? It's going to be Shalom Yasha'ala, right? The peace of Israel, right? Because when the true children of Israel, pursuant to Isaiah chapter 2, right, when we are in power, right, when we have control, when we are the hegemony in the earth, nation will not lift up sword against nation, right? There will be no more war. They're not going to have time to pick up weapons because they're going to be too busy plowing fields and dressing vines, right? But and it goes on to say, and then shall the end come. So the gospel has been spread all over the world. So we're close to the end now. We see that the context changes, and here he talks about what was spoken of Daniel, right? Daniel 9, right? The temple being destroyed. So again, in the minds of the apostles, they're thinking that all of this stuff is one. This is all going to happen at the end, right? So we're going to skip this right here. And let's jump down to verse 23.
Yeah. Gone. 23.
Actually, no.
I was going to say 20, 21.
No, because that's all still
Yeah.
Let's go down to verse 29.
Verse 29 of Matthew 24. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken.
So this corresponds with what's that? 2nd Esdras, the 13th chapter, but primarily with Amos, the 8th chapter, right? The Most High God says that He's going to cause the sun to go down to set at noonday. That's going to listen. Just imagine you out and about, you driving, right? And then the sun just goes down in the middle of the bright day, and now it's pitch black. And we look right here, it says that the moon shall not give her light, and the stars of the heavens shall fall from the sky. Do you imagine how crazy that's going to be? Right? Read on.
And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
Why is it saying that? Why is Yahweh Shah saying when He comes back, all the tribes of the earth are going to mourn? Why is He saying that if salvation is for everyone?
Right.
Read on.
And He shall send His angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together His elect from the four winds, and from one end of heaven to the other.
From one end of the heaven to the other, right? This corresponds with, sounds like Deuteronomy chapter 30, right? Deuteronomy chapter 30, I'll get it real quick. Verse 3, it says that then, after we keep the commandments and obey God's voice, that then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all nations, whither the Lord thy God hath scattered thee. Who's this? Israel. And if any of thine be driven out from the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will He fetch thee. And the Lord thy God shall gather thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and He will do thee good and multiply thee above thy fathers. And the Lord thy God will circumcise thine heart, not everyone's heart, not anyone's heart, thine heart, and the heart of thy seed, to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, that thou mayest live, right? So this is abundantly clear, right? That we are in the end times, right? Now, let's take a look really quickly. I want to pull up, let's see if we can pull up some some sources, right? So Trump, Greenland. So this is from USA Today. U.S. official, please, I don't want to have to pay for this. U.S. officials say Greenland action could come within weeks or months. Next steps on Greenland could come as soon as a few weeks, a U.S. official tells USA Today in an exclusive interview. President Donald Trump desires to annex Greenland will not be thwarted, and there could be meaningful U.S. action related to the Arctic island within weeks or months, according to a senior administration official. That's the view of Thomas Dans, Trump's Arctic commissioner. He's regarded as one of the main proponents of the president's interest in Greenland, an idea first brought to Trump by billionaire and former diplomat Ronald Lauder. Let's see who this guy is. He sounds like a small hat. This guy looks like a freaking douche.
Look German.
Yep, look. He was born in New York City to a what? Ish family. The son of Estee Lauder. Wow. Yeah, Estee Lauder. This is like a cosmetic company. Wow. I could smell a rodent from a mile away. So of course, this guy. this is crazy. 4.7 billion. What a dweeb. Right? Again, Amalek being the chief of the nations. You can't make this shit up, man. So Dans has been working on the issue since 2020. This is a train route with multiple stops, he said in an exclusive interview with USA Today. Things can move on an express basis, skip the local stops, and go direct to the main station. What does that mean? Meaning we can go straight to just take it, right? He's saying, oh yeah, you should just sell it to us. Like, we'll buy it. First and foremost, we have a national debt of what, $39 trillion? Where are we getting the money to buy goddamn Greenland? How about instead of using the money that you want to buy Greenland with, how about you invest that in the people? How about you invest that into housing? How about you invest that into SNAP benefits, things of that nature? You guys just had this government shutdown, and all of this nonsense like this is what's going to continue to piss Americans off, and niggas are gonna hit the streets, and there's gonna be all out war and chaos, all right, and turmoil, right? We read 2 Ezra 13, Second Esdras, the 15th chapter. It says that there will be sedition amongst men, right? That's what we see going on in Iran, right? Sedition amongst men.
Yeah.
All this stuff. This is a powder keg. This is the pot boiling over, ready to just spill over all over the stove. It says that's where President Trump wants to move it at high speed. Still, Don said that while he thinks there could be a noticeable progress on the negotiation or a deal on Greenland sooner rather than later, he ultimately expects the acquisition to take longer than that to complete. We need to get the people of Greenland on board, he said, referring to polls that show while the majority of Greenland's 57,000 inhabitants want to eventually secede from Denmark, the vast majority do not want Greenland to become the 51st U.S. state. Denmark and Greenland have said Greenland is not for sale. Now, here's the thing. In Greenland, I was just watching a video earlier today. The people of Greenland, they've been actually trying to just be independent. They don't want to be connected to Greenland, means to Denmark, and they don't want to be connected to who? They definitely don't want to be connected to America, right? So now, why is this important, right? And we're gonna touch on what's going on with Trump and these two gentlemen here that I have on the thumbnail, right? So we got good old Nick in the back. He's sad because he's in an orange jumpsuit, right? We got in the middle, that is the president of Cuba. I forget this gentleman's name, and his name is Miguel Diaz-Canel, right? Bermudez. Now, just so I don't want someone to come up here and be simple, right? Because I saw on Facebook someone going into how Maduro's father's side are Sephardic Jews, allegedly. Now, here's the thing. What happened with the Spanish Inquisition? You had a bunch of what would be Sephardic Jews who were black, were Israelites. They were sold, they were captured, sold, taken to Sao Tome Island, which is an island off the coast of West Africa. All right, and they were caught up in the transatlantic slave trade. So there's a possibility that Maduro Sephardic Jew background on his father's side, he's actually right. There is a chance that that's the case, right? I haven't delved too much into his lineage. Now, these other two gentlemen, I took a look. Actually, let me get this guy.
Mexican president?
Nah, this is the Cuban and Colombian president, right? So this gentleman right here, Miguel Diaz, this guy is definitely an Edomite, right? So you see right here, he is of a direct paternal Spanish Asturian descent. His great-grandfather, Ramon Diaz-Canel, left Castropol, Asturias, Spain for Havana in the late 19th century, right? So this guy, more than likely, Shemite. Then we got president of, I looked at that guy, president of Colombia.
Yeah, I just watched a video on him.
I believe he's an Edomite as well. Gustavo Petro, right? So Petro is predominantly descended from a long-established mestizo Colombian families. Mestizo means they were mixed.
Right.
Mestizos, they had a certain, depending on who your fathers were, right? So they're mixed Spanish and indigenous, right? But continuing, it says, though his father is of 1/4 Italian descent through Petro's paternal great-grandfather, Francesco Petro, who immigrated from southern Italy in 1870. Now, I don't know if he's from Sicily. He could be an Israelite, could be, but more than likely, this gentleman is also not an Israelite. Right? When we look at the Israelites here in the Western Hemisphere, so-called Latinos, so-called blacks, so-called natives, what we see is that a lot of our countries are ruled by the heathen. Hence, Mexico, who is their president. Their president is a small hat woman, right? She's a small hat. So Trump's been popping it against Cuba. This guy who's the president of Colombia, he was saying, "Oh, come and get me!" He was popping it at Trump too. Because again, what Trump wants is control of oil, right? And Colombia has oil, right? A lot of these Latin American countries have oil. What Trump is also doing is Trump has been investing billions of dollars in Argentina, who has a failing economy, and it's all for the purpose of preventing them from doing business with China. Now, what does Argentina have that America wants? Lithium, rare earth metals. Lithium is important in making batteries, especially batteries for electric cars and things of that nature. So this is all about resources, right? Actually, we'll come back to Matthew. Let's take a look at the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter, right? Because I'm gonna show you guys why all of this is important. Right, Daniel chapter 7.
God, this is Daniel 7. Let's start from the top.
Nah. All right, boom. Read verse 7 and 8.
God, this is Daniel chapter 7, verse 7. After this, I saw in the night vision, and in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. And it had 10 horns. Now, pay attention to these 10 horns, right? This beast that we read about here in Daniel 7, right? This is the Roman Empire. It has 10 horns. It has 10 powers. 10 powers come out of this Roman Empire. When we fast forward to Daniel, to Revelation, the 12th chapter, right? And then Revelation, the 13th chapter, we see 3 beasts, right?
The beast in Revelation 12 is the Roman Empire, right? Then we see that beast, of course, is wounded and is healed, and we see the revised Roman Empire, which is primarily the Western European power structure, right? And it comes from these 10 horns, right? Now, I'm going to go into what these 10 horns are in just a bit, right? But read on.
Verse 8. And considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them a little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots.
So there's 10 horns, and then there's another little horn, right? Now, this little horn corresponds with the whore that's riding the beast, right? So let's actually hold this, and we're going to put it all together. So let's go to Revelation chapter 13. Revelation 13. And let's read that from the top.
Revelation 13 from the top. It says, and I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
Now we see that this beast has 7 heads and 10 horns, right? Now this is called the beast from the sea. Now, if you go to one chapter prior, right, this is the previous. This is the Roman Empire, right? The red dragon, right? This is talking about the Roman Empire, right? And how under the Roman Empire, right, they try to kill Christ, the second and third, and make war with the saints, right? As it goes on to say. But it's important to take a look at this beast, because again, when we look at Daniel chapter 7, this 4th beast corresponds with the legs and the feet of Daniel, the 2nd chapter, right? So let's take a look, right? Daniel 2 statue. Let's find a better picture. Watch the size large. All right. So we got the golden head. That's Babylon, right? We got the chest and arms of silver. That's Medo-Persia. With the belly and thighs of bronze. That's Greece. The legs of iron. That's Rome. And then we got the feet of iron and clay, right? It's still identified as the 4th kingdom because it's part of it, but it's future powers that come out of the Roman Empire. Mm-hmm. And of course, that rock that comes to smite this image is the kingdom of God, right? This is actually a pretty good visual, right? Mm-hmm. So when we're looking at Daniel chapter 2, and again, we see the feet mixed with miry clay, right? Iron and miry clay, right? It doesn't cleave one to another, right? And it has part of the strength of the first part of it, right? Part of the legs. And then it has weakness of clay. Clay is, compared to all these metals, is nothing, right? So this revised Roman Empire is what we're seeing here in Daniel, in Revelation, the 13th chapter, right? So bring that out.
God. Wait, you at 13, right?
Yeah, 13:1.
Right, 13:1 again. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy.
The name of blasphemy. Read on.
And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority.
So let's break this down, right? So what we're seeing here is that this beast is like an amalgamation of the previous beast that we read about in Daniel chapter 7, right? Let's just look at Daniel 7 beasts, right? Watch this. Images. So we see the lion, right? The griffin, which represents Babylon, right? We see the bear with the 3 ribs represent the Medo-Persian Empire, right? The bear is lifted up on one side because the Persians have more power than the Medes, right? And then we have the leopard, right, with the 6 wings and the 4 heads. And then we see this crazy beast that's not called a dragon in Daniel 7, right? For the record, it's not called a dragon in Daniel 7, but in Revelation 12, this same beast that's being represented in Daniel 7 is being called a dragon, right? We read that in Daniel Revelation 12, right? Now it says here that again it's like a leopard, it has the feet of a bear, it has the mouth of a lion, right? So it's an amalgamation of all these previous beasts, and it says, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Now again, this particular beast is the Western European power structure, which would be, of course, NATO and the EU, right? Now, read verse 3.
Verse 3. And I saw one of his heads as it were Slakia, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?
So again, the Western European power structure, NATO has had hegemony over the world since the fall of what? The USSR. NATO was created to combat the USSR, right? When the USSR fell, right, and you had glasnost and perestroika, right? It was Bill Clinton and I believe Henry Kissinger that promised Vladimir Putin, right, that they would not expand NATO. But they did exactly that. They continue to expand NATO to Russia's doorsteps, and this is why we have this tension right now, right? But again, who's making war with NATO? No country was being able to make war with NATO, right? Especially after the fall of the USSR. Right now, we have the Russian Federation, a different government entity. Right now, read on. So it says that the beast gave it its power, and that they worship the beast. Right. Again, these are all a bunch of Edomites. Right. Rome was ruled by the Edomites, and they uphold Roman traditions. Right. That's why you look, for instance, here in Philadelphia, City Hall. City Hall looks just like Roman and Greek architecture. You go down to Washington, D.C., you look at the White House, you look at Congress, you look at the Supreme Court, look at all these buildings, all fashioned and modeled after Rome, right? Look at England, look at France, look at all of these places, right? Have all this influence from the previous beast being in the Roman Empire, right? Read on.
I was just gonna point out because my rib, she was in school for medical
coding
administration.
Okay.
And I was a little, went to school a little for criminal justice, right? All throughout the learning of this, a lot of the key terms and everything, it's all Latin. All Latin. Right. And that's, you gotta think about it. We don't use Latin in this society for nothing, but think about the two things, that are governing this. You got pharmaceuticals who's pretty much running shit. You see what I'm saying? And the law, right?
Yeah, you got what's called jurisprudence. That's a Latin term. You got even in biology, for instance, a wolf is known as Canis lupus. That's Latin. That's called binomial nomenclature. It has all these Latin names. Look at the scientific name of everything. It's Latin. Right. So they worship the beast. Read on.
Verse 5. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven.
Come on.
Verse 7. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints.
To make war with the saints, read on.
And to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations.
So now when we look at these Western European powers, right? So these 10 horns, right? These 10 horns are the 10 original common markets that made up what's known as the original European Economic Community, right, which will become the European Union, right? There are more European Union states than the original 10, right? But this is where that power was centralized. So you have Belgium, you have Denmark. Why is this important? Why are we talking about this? Because we were just reading about Trump wanting to take Greenland, right? He wants to take Greenland. Either he wants them to sell it and say, hey, it's not for sale, or they're going to take it by force. Now, this is going to cause some problems for Babylon, for America, right? Because when we read in Revelation 17, I believe it is, it says that the horn shall hate the whore, right? See, this whore that we're reading about in Revelation, the 13th chapter that we read about here, when we go into the beasts from the earth, this whore corresponds with this little horn that we read about in Daniel 7, right? Mm-hmm. So let's actually continue.
God, where was that? Verse 8.
Actually, we get the point on that, right? So let's jump down to verse 11.
God, verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon.
So he spake as a dragon, right? Again, the dragon gives the power to the other beast, which is the beast from the sea, right? See, waters represent multitudes of people, right? Europe, right? We got multitudes of people, different people groups in Europe, right? But when it comes to America, America was founded here, right, where you didn't have many people. Of course, they came over here and slaughtered the Native Americans, right? So it's coming out of the earth as opposed to coming out of the water, which represents multitudes of people, right? We're talking about many waters, right? Read on.
Okay.
And just think about it, right? The world that we live in, it's mostly water.
Yeah.
70% water, 30% land or earth, right? Read on.
Okay. Verse 12. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed.
Whose deadly wound was healed, right? So, again, America getting involved with these countries, right? Of course, they come in to save the day with World War I and World War II, right? All this plays a role in it, right? Continue.
Kind of worshiping the first beast, right? You got, let Esau tell it, right? That, what paved the way for the modern day, was Rome, all right? Mm-hmm. Paving the streets, architecture, everything. And then we look at exactly how America, right, and Western, society is ran, it's exactly the same, right? You got stadiums, right, where Rome, they would have, war games, right? The great, athletically built, right? The strong come and, entertain the people. It's no different now. And in the background, what you got a lot of plans of war and, treachery and whatnot going on the same way it is now, right? You got the people of America distracted by the Super Bowl and playoffs and all this, and nobody's really paying attention to the news, mm-hmm. right? And the people that are seeing little clips and stuff that's going viral and stuff, that's all people know. Nobody really knows the context of what's going on right now.
At all. Right, but let's continue.
Again, verse 13. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
In the sight of men, right? Going back to what America did with the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? America became a superpower after that, right? Read on. Because looking at this first beast right here, right? This first beast being Western Europe, right? Western Europe was crippled and wounded with World War I and with World War II, right? They were just fighting against each other, mm-hmm. right? You had of course, you had the Axis powers, you had the Allied powers. I forget the technical terms under World War I and II, but essentially it was Western versus Eastern Europe, right? And these powers that make up this beast are the Western European power structures. Eastern Europe is completely different, even culturally, from Western Europe, right? But let's continue.
Okay. What was that? What was that?
Verse 14.
And deceived them that dwell on earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by the sword and did live.
Right. So basically just a bolstering white supremacy, right? Mm-hmm. So now let's go to Daniel chapter 7, right? And let's read verse 7 again.
This is Daniel chapter 7 and verse 7. And after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth, and it devoured and break in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it.
Now, slow down, right? So it says that this beast had great iron teeth, right? Nebuchadnezzar saw a statue that represented different kingdoms, right? And that fourth one was what? Iron, right? And then it goes on to say it stamped out the residue with the feet, right? So when we go further into Daniel chapter 2, right, it tells you that it's partly strong and partly weak, right? NATO, right? Western European powers have been able to go around the world and stamp out people, right? Hence colonization. Africa was carved up by what? By the Western European powers, right? Asia, right? They said that the sun did not set on the British Empire because Britain was going around just stamping on shit, right? Read on.
God. It devoured and break in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns.
And it had 10 horns, right? These 10 horns that represent the 10 common markers that make up the original the EEC, which is now the EU, right? Those 10 horns are Belgium, Denmark, France, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Greece, Spain, and Portugal as one, because Spain and Portugal are essentially the same country. You got England and Ireland together, and then Germany, right? Those are the 10 horns that are being represented here, right? Read on.
And I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn.
It came up among them another little horn, right? Read on.
Before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots.
There were 3 of the first horns plucked up, right? So these 3 horns that this little horn plucked up is France, Spain, and Britain, right? America became a horn, became a power by taking down Britain, right? Again, at that time, Britain's empire was so vast, right? Now, Britain was fighting wars with Napoleon and whatnot at that time. So, again, Britain lost control of the U.S. Over the colonies here in America, right? America comes out victorious. They go to war with them again, right? Quiet as kept. You still had British soldiers still living in America, stationed in forts in America for years after the Revolutionary War. There was a lot of turmoil in America's first go at it, right? You had something called the Articles of Confederation, and they realized like this shit ain't working, right? And they ended up drafting the Constitution, right? They were not going to be able to even get the British up out of their territory with the Articles of Confederation because the Congress had no ability to tax, to raise up an army. Like they didn't have any power, right? So that's how they had to redraft and do America 2.0, right? But anyway, little sidebar, little history for you there. They took out the British, right? They fought them in the War of 1812, right? Due to Napoleon getting his ass beat by our Haitian brothers, the tribe of Levi, right? And them going into war and invading Russia, like just stupid, right? They were forced to sell the Louisiana territories to America, right? Expanded America vastly. And then, of course, you have America fighting the Spanish in the Spanish-American War, right? So it took down 3 of those horns, right? Read on.
Con. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things.
Speaking great things, right? Speaking blasphemies, as we read before, right? Read on.
Verse 9, I beheld till the thrones were cast down. And
Now we're gonna jump this, right? Because this is looking forward to, you know, our kingdom coming and whatnot, right? So now jumping down to right, verse 7, real quick, verse 17 says, these great beasts are 4 kings which shall arise out of the earth, right? But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever and ever, right? So because they understood it was 4 kings, right? They saw 3 of them prior to. They didn't even realize that they too played a part in this, and that 4th kingdom would be wounded, right? Would be revised, right, to be the revised Roman Empire, which is again Western European power structure. After that, that's when the saints of the Most High take the kingdom and possess it, right? Now, let's jump down.
23.
Let's skip a little further. Stop. All right, boom. Jump down to verse 19.
Verse 19. Then I would know the truth of the 4th beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, his nails of brass, which devoured, break in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet.
Mm-hmm.
And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before were 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows.
His look was more stout than his fellows, right? I'm going to take a look at this word for stout really quickly. Stout. Rob, right? Great, masterful, chief, captain. So this one was more in charge, right? Even though it was a little horn, right? America comes up out of Britain, right? So America didn't have the power that Britain had, right? In terms of, you know, its empire touching all corners of the earth, right? However, he was still more preeminent and more stout, right? More proud overall, because the Edomites are proud, right? But ain't no one more proud than the American devil, right? It goes on to say, read verse 21.
Verse 21, I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them.
This is why, right? Here in the thumbnail, I got this, right? Now, whether or not these 2 individuals, right, the president of Cuba and the president of Colombia are Israelites or not, right? The people that they represent, right? The vast majority of the people in those countries, those are the saints. Those are the children of Israel, right? So Trump going to fight against Venezuela and steal their resources, they're making war with the saints, right? I just saw, actually, we're going to get it in a bit, right? Apparently, America's been using like these direct energy weapons. They use direct energy weapons against the Venezuelans, right? There was a bodyguard, right? I'm gonna find a video in a bit, right? There was a bodyguard saying that it was like this crazy sound, and their noses started bleeding, almost on some Stranger Things type shit, right? Listen, Esau show you what's going on in all the movies, right? So you mean to tell me that this fictional American military in Hawkins, I don't even know what Hawkins is, what state is based in Stranger Things, right? They have these direct energy weapons that's causing people to feel like their head's about to explode, nose bleeding and whatnot. This is what God said. And what's funny enough is that the chief press secretary, she retweeted the tweet where that information was dropped, right? And I'll get it in a bit, right? but they're making war with the Saints. Trump is threatening Cuba, right? We can get that in a second, right? Trump, Cuba.
So they killed 100 of their men with 20 guys. Nobody was touched.
Look at this. Look at this headline. U.S. allows Mexico to provide oil to Cuba despite Trump's vow to cut off supply. What? Like, what are we talking about? Right? Look at right here. What would Trump's threatened strikes on Colombia, Mexico, or Cuba achieve? Right? He's threatening to make strikes on Cuba, Colombia, and Mexico. Why? Because again, let's read what the Bible says. It says that power, right? He held the same horn, made war with the saints, and prevailed against them. And the Most High God, right? He reigns in the kingdoms of men, and he giveth power to whoever he chooses. At this time, America has the power, right? This beast is going to do what this beast is going to do, right? And they're doing what? Making war with the saints and prevailing against them. So this is why we're going to get into Jacob's trouble. This is why
internationally and domestically. Look at ICE.
Absolutely, right? And this is why I'm saying that Jacob is in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
We are, guys, I'm gonna let you, we are in Jacob's trouble.
Emphatically.
We are in Jacob's trouble. Who is Jacob? Jacob is the father of the children of Israel. The children of Israel here in the Western Hemisphere are so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Shout out to the brother Malak Eleazar. They use LRAD. I'm glad you used the term, right? I was just watching Redacted, and actually, no, it wasn't even the Redacted video. Let me find it real quick. I'm gonna find this video. This video, man, I was like, damn, yo, Esau, and this is what prompted me to do this live. I was like, yo, man, we gotta go live, man. We gotta start going to these current events, right? Where's this video? These devils, man.
Yeah, boss was talking about this at work too. The same, the Edomite I told you was talking all scary. Was talking about this shit. How they only use 20 men to go in and do that. Not one of them.
Yeah, they get a single casualty.
Right.
Yeah, so the guy talks about LRAD in this joint, right? So they're making war with the saints and prevailing against them. And it goes on to say, until the ancient of days came and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and a time came that the saints should possess the kingdom, right? So we're going to have ours, right? We're going to have the kingdom. We're going to have dominion, right? We're going to have power, right? There's a bunch of guys out there telling you, oh yeah, the heathen can have access to the kingdom too, and they're gonna judge Israel, and they're gonna get glorified bodies and receive a new covenant. Judgment will be given to the saints. The saints are the Israelites, point blank, period. All right, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? So let me pull this up real quick, right? Show you this video. Fair use.
Desire. Cause haven't been able to find any video or audio recordings of this. If this turns out to be true, this is going to be one of the most terrifying stories that was leaked out in a very long time. I can guarantee you it's going to dissuade people from wanting to mess with America. In this video, my goal is to explain what the story was, what I think was used, what a couple different options could be to explain the phenomenon that were experienced in the description of this story. To explain
watch
the phenomenon that we're experiencing.
LRAD. You see that? Shout out to the brother Malak Eleazar. They use that LRAD, right?
In the description of this story. Let's get into it. So on the 9th of January of 2026, a man by the name of Mike Netter, who's apparently a podcaster in California, shared a post to his personal account, and it gained 29 million views since then. He posted at 11:21 p.m. on January 9th. It quickly got picked up by a lot of people, including the White House press secretary, Carolyn Levitt, who retweeted it on January 10th, saying, quote, "Stop what you are doing and read this." Now, shortly after that, it got got picked up by a ton of mainstream sources, including the New York Post, who said U.S. used powerful mystery weapon that brought Venezuelan soldiers to their knees during Maduro raid, according to an eyewitness account. And then the Washington Times posted about it, the Fox News posted about it, the Times of Asia posted about it, the Daily Mail posted about it. It got shared all over the place. Now, again, I can't independently verify this, but if this turns out to be true, this is going to send a message to the enemies of the United States. Let me read you the story so you can hear what this guy wrote. All right, so this story is from Mike Netter. He says, quote, "This account is from a Venezuelan security guard loyal to Nicolas Maduro, is absolutely chilling. And it explains a lot about why the tone across Latin America suddenly changed. The beginning of the story starts with a security guard. Security guard says, quote, "On the day of the operation, we didn't hear anything coming. We were on guard, but suddenly all our radar systems shut down without any explanation. The next thing we saw were drones, a lot of drones, flying over our positions. We didn't know how to react." The interviewer asks, "So what happened next? How was the main attack?" The security guard responds by saying, "After those drones appeared, some helicopters arrived, but there were very few. I think barely 8 helicopters. For the helicopters, soldiers came down, but a very small number, maybe 20 men. But those men were technologically advanced. They didn't look like anything we fought against before." And the interviewer asks him, "And then the battle began?" The security guard responds by saying, "Yes, but it was a massacre. We were hundreds, but we had no chance. They were shooting it with such precision and speed. It seemed like each soldier was firing 300 rounds per minute. We couldn't do anything." The interviewer says, "And your own weapons, didn't they help?" Security guard says, "No help at all, because it wasn't just the weapons. At one point, they launched something. I don't know how to describe it. It was like a very intense sound wave. Suddenly, I felt like my head was exploding from the inside. We all started bleeding from the nose. Some were vomiting blood. We fell to the ground, unable to move." The interviewer says, "And your comrades, did they manage to resist?" Security guard responds, "No, not at all. Those 20 men, without a single casualty, killed hundreds of us. I swear I've never seen anything like it. We couldn't even stand up after that sonic weapon or whatever it was." Interviewer says, "Do you think the rest of the region should think twice before confronting the Americans?" Security guard says, "Without a doubt. I'm sending a warning to anyone who thinks they can fight the United States. They have no idea what they're capable of. After I saw that, I never want to be on the other side of that again. They're not to be messed with." The interviewer says, "And now that Trump has said Mexico's on the list, do you think the situation will change in Latin America?" Security guard responds, "Definitely. Everyone is already talking about this. No one wants to go through what we went through. Now everyone thinks twice. What happened here is going to change a lot of things, not just in Venezuela, but throughout the region." Now, I posted this, like I read it off.
So, listen, man, it is what it is, right? The scriptures say that this horn is going to make war with the saints, and it says, and prevailed against them. So, you're going to have a bunch of brothers in Mexico, Iscarites getting up, right? The cards. And here's the thing. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Them cartels, them niggas gotta die. Listen, them cartels are brutal. They traffic children, sex slaves. They traffic children, evil, right? They behead people, do all types of evil, right? And again, this goes
on top of that, they're like CIA operatives anyway.
Yeah, listen, they're a bunch of sellouts, right? So again, we went into Amos 8 about a little earlier this past year, where there was a video that a sister and seemingly in the truth, right? She referred to the Most High as Abba, right? He is Abba now, our Father. Let me see if I can find this joint. This was a minute ago, right? This video we did 6 months ago, right?
Okay.
Right. We said, well, this end time prophecy happened in 2025, right? I pray it happens this year. I tell you that much. I pray it happens this year. But we go into Amos 8 and 5, right? Where the Most High says that He's going to cause the sun to set at noonday, right? For the purpose of the evil that the rulers of our nation that they commit, right? And again, that's in and out of the truth, right? Because if you think about it, right, King Ahab, right, King Omri, King whoever, right? King Hezekiah was a relatively righteous king. King Jehu. All these kings of Israel, right? After Solomon, right? Solomon was righteous for a bit, then he went off, right? Rehoboam evil, Jeroboam evil. These niggas were not in the truth, right? And I know this term gets used a lot, right? Oh, you're not in the truth. The truth is the laws of God. So if you are an Israelite, you are required to keep the laws of God. So the Israelites are scattered to the four corners of the earth due to their disobedience of the truth, right? So all these cartel leaders, right? Some of them may be Edomites, right? But the vast majority, most of them, like the soldiers and whatnot, the niggas pulling the hits and whatnot, these niggas are evil. They're doing all types of evil to just the poor of the land. Like these cartels are just extorting freaking avocado farmers and whatnot, all types of evil, right? So it says here in Amos 8, it says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, show unto me, behold, a basket of summer fruit. And he said, Amos, what seest thou? And I said, a basket of summer fruit. Then said Yahweh unto me, the end is come upon my people Israel. I will not again pass by them anymore. And the songs of the temple shall be howlings in that day, saith the Lord Yahweh. There shall be many dead bodies in every place. They shall cast them forth in silence, right? So this, of course, back in ancient Israel, right, we had this happened to us. We had judgments like this happen to us, right? But this prophecy, right, is also future, right? And why do I say that? Because what the Most High God says that he's specifically going to do, there's no recording of something like this happening. And something like this happening, you mean to tell me that there's no power on the earth at any given time that's going to record that this has happened, right? Let's continue. It says, verse 4, hear this, O ye that swallow up the needy, even to make the poor of the land to fail, saying, when will the new moon be going, that we may sell corn, and the Sabbath that we may set forth wheat, making the ephah small and the shekel great, and falsifying balances by deceit, that we may buy the poor for silver, and the needy for a pair of shoes, yea, and sell the refuse of the wheat, right? So just extorting the poor, right? The Lord has sworn by the excellency of Jacob, surely I will never forget any of their works. Shall not the land tremble for this, and every one mourn that dwelleth therein? And it shall rise up wholly as a flood, and it shall cast out and drown as by the flood of Egypt, right? Just as the Most High God drowned many of Pharaoh's army, his soldiers, his host in the Red Sea. This judgment that he's bringing upon the rulers of our people, the people who are at the top, for exploiting the people at the bottom. This judgment is going to swoop in, right, and flood them like what happened to the Egyptians, right? Verse 9. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord Yahweh, that I will cause the sun to go down at noon, and I will darken the earth in the clear day, and I will turn your feasts into mourning, and your songs into lamentation. And I will bring sackcloth upon loins, and baldness upon every head, and I will make it as a mourning of an only son, and the end thereof as a bitter day. Behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor thirst for water, but from the hearing of the word of the Lord, right? So all of this is future, right? The Most High God, we have never seen the sun go down at noonday, right? And all this is happening because of what the people at the top amongst our communities, right? All the big steppers, all the Udas, all the niggas who are leading these people, causing them to go astray. Niggas gotta die. Straight like that. So all these cartels gotta die. And notice how a lot of this crazy judgment that's going on right now, which again, Jacob's trouble, Northern Kingdom's getting hit first. When Israel was going off back in the land, the Most High God sent the Assyrians against Northern Kingdom first. And then the Babylonians came against Southern Kingdom next. right? So Jacob is in trouble, right? Jacob is in a lot of trouble, and our people are in for a rude awakening, right? All you silly ass Negroes and you silly ass Latinos, right? The Most High God has sent out his servants on the street corners to warn y'all, right? We be out there in the freezing cold, in the blistering hot, right? Rain, all types of inclement weather, trying to just have conversations with our people to show our people, hey, that who we are, who we belong to, what's required of us. And 99.9% of the time, niggas do what? Walk right on by. When the Most High God, when he called through his servants, you didn't answer. And when all your calamity comes upon you, you're gonna try. You first thing, oh God, you're gonna call unto God. Well, God ain't picking up the phone because you ain't pick up the phone when he called you, right? So, where were we? Let's get back to where we at. We were at
21. Yeah. After whose look was more stout than his fellows. Hey, and to that point, right? Look more stout than his fellows. Think about how proud this even made Edomites hearing that horror story.
This, bro, the Edomite who was just retelling it, he was popping it, bro.
He was proud of that.
Oh, he was popping it, bro.
It's crazy. I even seen Jake's goofy ass, because you got a lot of Southern Kingdom, riding for Northern Kingdom and saying how we need to support each other, we need unity. But then you got silly Southern Kingdom niggas in there popping their shit just like they proud boys. And
then you got niggas. Here's the thing: you got Southern and Northern Kingdom who are joining ICE because ICE is paying. Listen, ICE is paying a bag, bro.
Mm-hmm.
ICE is paying a bag.
Yeah,
but it's a bag. What did Howard Shah say? He said, "What is it that a man will gain the whole world if he'll lose his own soul?" Nigga, you gonna sell your people out?
Right.
You gonna sell your own people out, and that's been our problem, man. Mm-hmm. We have not been united. And listen, united, we rise. Divided, we fall. And the so-called white man, right? Going back to the beast that we read in Revelation 13 and how they exercise the same power of the first beast, or it says that first beast exercised the same power, or at least its power from the dragon. Right. What was the modus operandi of the Roman Empire? Divide and conquer. Divide and conquer is a powerful problem-solving strategy. No, get out of here. Divide and conquer. The term divide and conquer in politics refers to an entity gaining and maintaining political power by using divisive measures. This includes the exploitation of existing divisions. Oh my God, bro. Within a political group by its political opponents, and also the deliberate creation or strengthening of such divisions. This is exactly what's going on in Iran right now, right? The concept primarily refers to the practice of creating divisions between opponents to prevent them from uniting against a common foe, allowing the one who divides to gain or maintain political control. As a maxim, it is commonly recommended to political rulers. A secondary usage of the idea refers to the practice of dividing one's own forces or personnel so as to deal with different tasks simultaneously. The exact wording of the idiom in the English is varied, including divide and rule, mainly in British English, divide and conquer in America, and most common variation, divide and govern, so forth and so forth, right? The phrase divide and conquer from the Latin. Divide et impera. Divide et impera. First appeared in English around 1600. So again, Esau just been he's just trying to live the glory days of the Roman Empire where he was just stepping on shit, right? That's what they wanted to do, man. Let's see. It says Edward Cook denotes in the first chapter of the fourth part of the Institute's Laws of England, reporting that when it was demanded by the lords of in the Commons, what might be the principal motive for them to have good success in Parliament. Parliament. It was answered. Iridis, I'm not even gonna try to say that shit. The Davide and Impera. All right, you would be invincible if you were inseparable. This proverb, divide and rule, has been rejected since the root of the summit of the authority are confirmed by the consent of the subjects, right? Roman Empire. In his histories of the Gallic Wars, Julius Caesar narrates the following episode. Ipse divisiacum. I'm not even going to try it. He made a powerful and personal appeal to Diviacus in Deum, showing him how important an advantage it was for the Roman state and for the welfare of both parties to keep the contingents of the enemy apart, so as to avoid the necessity of fighting at one time against a large host, right? And again, I ain't gonna lie, Esau cooked with this, right? It's genius. It's genius, right? To divide and conquer. You have to, right? And what did Yahushua say?
House divided cannot stand.
Let's get that real quick, right?
Yeah, think about it. That's why ultimately Esau's kingdom is going to be ruined.
Absolutely.
You got this whole thing, like with all this, small hat stuff going on. A huge, like Esau is desperately, right, in America. They're desperately trying to separate white people from small hats. You see what I'm saying? And then you got Russia, like y'all all the same people.
Damn. The brother Malak Eliezer say, yep, it's $50K on the signing bonus. Oh my God, bro, man.
A signing bonus of $50K.
$50K signing bonus, that's crazy. Yeah. These niggas got $50K extra for niggas to round up other niggas.
And no
telling niggas would say, I bet. Bro, I can't stand a
that's
sucker.
A sign-on bonus. Who knows what the
salary is, bro?
Yeah.
Man, these niggas are evil. Oh yeah. I hear that they're trying to build the third temple. It ain't gonna happen, right? Because see, this is why that's part of their plan, right? They gotta get Iran out of there, right? But here's the thing, right? I'm just sitting back and I'm looking. I'm like, Howard's been showing his word to be true so much, right? The stuff that we see going on with Trump trying to take Greenland and Denmark saying, listen, Greenland's not for sale, right? We're not selling it. Even Greenland says, yeah, no, we don't want nothing to do with you niggas. And now Trump talking about, all right, we're just gonna take it. They said weeks or months. Let me tell you something. I pray these niggas do it, because as soon as they do it, that is driving that wedge between the horns, right, and the whore, right? But now when we look at even that beast, right, that little horn coming up amongst those other horns, right, that corresponds with the beast that we read about in Revelation, where it says that the whore on the back of the beast, right? So Revelation chapter 17 verse 15, it says, and he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest are where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues, right? The whore, again, is sitting on a bunch of different peoples, right? Multitudes of people, right? Scripture talk about how they neither keepeth at home. I think it's Habakkuk chapter 2, right? Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 5. Right? Habakkuk 2 and 5 says, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. Neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied. But gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth up unto him all peoples. Right? And if I'm not mistaken, this is Habakkuk is leading up to Babylon, if I'm not mistaken, right? But this is what they do, right? They want to heap unto themselves all people, right? They spoil all nations, right? So going back to Revelation chapter 17, right, it goes on to say that in the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate, and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Right. So I just posted something on my IG the other day on my story from Twitter. Let me just find my archive real quick. Watch this, right? So there was a post where it says EU admits it will have to negotiate with Russia. It is clear that at some point we will have to negotiate with President Putin, stated the European Commission, Paula Pino, right? The Italian Prime Minister, she can't stand Trump. She's been popping shit against Trump for a minute. She says, I believe the time has come for Europe to speak with Russia. Italian PM Giorgia Meloni, right? There was another thing that I posted the other day where it says, update, panic in Europe. President Trump privately tells Denmark and EU leaders that if they don't sell Greenland to the United States, then the U.S. will withdraw from NATO and redeploy all U.S. soldiers from Europe, leaving Europe to face Russia alone. So Trump is popping it, right? Right now, there's actually U.S. leaves NATO. So we haven't left NATO yet, right? The U.S. has not left NATO, but there are ongoing political discussions, legislative efforts like the NATO Support Act by Republican Representative Massey, right? We were at camp on Saturday, and it was, bro, I was so mad that we had this sister, right? I was teaching at camp. There was two sisters that I edified at camp. The second sister, she was like really, really, really into it, right? And we was giving her the breakdown, right? Showing her everything. And I mentioned, what we see going on, this is all for our deliverance, but we got to get right so we can get delivered out of it. And I told her how, there are talks. They want us to leave NATO, right? And she said, oh, yeah, I just heard that. They was talking about that, right? So she was even peeping what was going on. But we lost all the footage. I had the footage, but I had none of the audio. It was, man, I was so freaking mad. But anyway, right, Republican Massey, I forget where he's from. A Republican Massey, I think he's from Tennessee or some shit like that. Or that, yeah, they want to get out of NATO, right? Let me see if Massey's found it here. Republican Massey bill to withdraw from NATO. Representative Thomas Massey introduced the Not a Trusted Organization Act, NATO Act, in December 2025, a bill to initiate the U.S. withdrawal from NATO, arguing the alliance's Cold War purpose is outdated. European allies can handle their own defense, and it's an entanglement not serving U.S. interests, with measures to halt funding and formalize departure under Article 13 of the North Atlantic Treaty. Guys, this is like house.gov. This is the real thing, right? And again, when we look at that statue, that Nebuchadnezzar saw, right? The feet partly of iron, the feet partly of clay, right? It's partly weak and partly strong. If the U.S. is out of NATO, NATO is very weak. And what did Yahushua say? A kingdom divided cannot stand. So this kingdom of Western European white people having hegemony in the earth, it will not stand. What you guys think about what's happening in Iran? Listen, bro, I said it the other day. I said this reeks of the whore and reeks of the rat. It's the U.S. and the small hats, right? Mossad, right? Just sowing discord, right? So we're talking about how people would sow discord amongst brethren. That's what's going on. They're sowing discord, right? Divide and conquer. So all this is they're trying to bring Iran down And I'm looking at all this stuff playing out. I'm like, they can't be successful because the scriptures tell us that in Ezekiel 38, that Gog, the chief prince of Meshech, that he's going to be a guard unto Persia, which is Iran. So, see, me and my neighbor, he's a brother, and me and him, we be chopping about geopolitics all the time. And I'll give it a breakdown, but he ain't hearkening. But we talk about geopolitics all the time, and we be both saying like, man, like I'm just so sick of Russia and China just pussyfooting and playing with America. Just stop talk, like stop. Y'all niggas need to do some action, bro. America don't respect talk, right? America don't respect the talk. America, they're gonna respect action, right? Let's go to Obadiah real quick, right? Obadiah 1, right? Verse. Damn. So read. Listen, read from verse 3.
Gone. Obadiah 1 and verse 3. The pride of thine heart have deceived.
Actually, no, we gotta start from the top, bro. It's all good.
Come from the top, Obadiah 1. The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith Yahweh concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen.
Come on.
Arise ye and let us rise up against her in battle.
Let us rise up against her in battle. This is sent amongst the heathen, all the nations, right? Let us rise up against her in battle, right? Read on.
Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised.
The nations hate America because of all the nonsense that America does, right? Read on.
The pride of thine heart have deceived thee. Though thou dwellest in the cleft of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring us down to the ground?
America, like, who's going to take us out of power, right? Trump wants Greenland because he said, I don't want to be neighbors with China and with Russia in the Arctic. Like, it's all strategic. They want to be able to put early tracking systems up there in Greenland, even though they have a base up there, right? And then right now, because you have climate change, there's new routes through the Northern Sea for trade. So that's what it's all about. It's about money, and it's about projecting power, right? Read on.
Verse 4. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh.
Listen, they're going to get up high, and the Most High God going to bring them right down. Read on.
If these came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes?
So America gonna go up into Venezuela, right? And they're gonna try to steal every drop of oil, every drop of natural gas, every ounce of the heavy metals and the precious metals, rare earth metals that they got. They're gonna take every little bit. A regular robber gonna steal till you get enough right in his bag and he out because he's like trying to boop 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 get in and out. Esau's so goddamn proud, right? Especially the American Edomite, so goddamn proud. They're gonna keep stealing and stealing and stealing and stealing as much as they can, right? Read on.
Verse 6. How are these things of Esau searched out? All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee.
Come on.
And prevailed against thee.
Come on.
They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him.
That's all right. That's it right there for now, right? So the men of thy confederacy. Who's the men of America's confederacy? NATO, right? You out here just stealing and stealing. Now you want to steal from your own allies. Imagine that. And again, this is going to allow for the horns to have that further divide, right? and for them to burn the whore with fire, right? I had posted this from off of Twitter the other day. Europe moves away from the United States and calls for peace with Russia. Macron, it's time to reopen the dialogue with Russia. Maloney, Macron is right. It's time to talk to Russia. Stramer from the UK. Context involving a broader dialogue with Moscow must be ensured. Merce from Germany. Partnership with the United States is complicated. Europe must be independent. Because guess what? The whore, America, is riding the back of NATO. When America says jump, these niggas say how high, but they realize that I'm tired of doing these tricks. Listen, we gotta be free, man. And listen, that horse gonna buck and kick the its rider off. Gonna burn it and gonna burn that hoe with fire. Right, the Most High God's word is amazing. It's undefeated. The Most High God is. Listen, this movie called Life. The Most High God gave us spoilers, guys. He gave us that more sure word of prophecy, right? So it's important that as we continue to be in these last days, that we are diligent, right? That we're diligent and that we are circumspect, right? Because our adversary, the devil, he's roaming around as a roaring lion, trying to see whoever he can devour, right? Sirach 39 says that he that giveth his mind to the law, right, and the meditation thereof will be occupied in meditation of prophecy, right? 2 Ezra 9 tells us that we have to measure the time diligently in itself. And we see certain signs pass, know it's the very same time when the Most High will begin to visit the world that he made, right? So the Most High God, listen, his word is undefeated, unfuckwittable, right? You just gotta have the faith and believe, right, and endure to the end, because we are knocking right at the end, right? What did Paul say in Romans 13:11, right? It's high time that we wake out of sleep, for our salvation is nearer than we believe. Our salvation is nearer than when we believed, right? It's nearer than what the apostles believed. They thought it was right there. Right. Here we are 2,000 plus years later, right? But truly, we are close. Right? It's funny. I think it was Mako Oz. Tio, he had posted a comment on one of my videos earlier today. He said, "Man, with all this stuff going on," he said, "Man, the Most High might send the house shot back within my lifetime." I said, "I hope so." Listen, I want to get up and out of here.
By all means.
Malak Eleazar. Ooh, we. It's a very interesting question. Does that link with 2 Ezra 16:21, where the victual shall be cheap due to the fact they got Venezuela oil? That might have that definitely might play into that. You know what's so funny? Is I was thinking about this scripture earlier today, because I was watching Redacted, all right, and Michael Flynn, General Michael Flynn, was talking about, you know, how Trump needs to be strategic, and you know, we need to be more so on this America First stuff. Like, he was talking about the situation with Iran. Like, if that situation in Iran happens, then okay, great. Like, we can get gas prices down under $1.50 a gallon, bro. If gas was, think of it like this, right? If gas is $1.50 a gallon for us as consumers, I don't say Lord willing. I'm not sure what you say Lord willing to. Lord willing, gas don't go down to $1.50 a gallon per se. It's going to happen at some point, right? I'll say it's going to happen at some point where things are going to get so cheap, right? But when that happens, that's letting me know that the market of beast is an implementation, right? But let's get 2 Ezra 16:21 real quick, because that's a great question.
Yeah, I'm here.
Ooh, that brother sharp right there, man. That's a great question. Sheesh. Second Ezra 16 and 21. I was literally thinking about this scripture earlier today, and I'm glad you asked that. Wow. Right. So second Ezra,
start at verse 18 though. Remember where we was in Matthew 24, where he said, "These shall be the beginning," right? The beginning, right? So you read verse 18.
Read from verse 17.
Con. Verse 17. Woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars. The power shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Like I said, that's all we was reading right there in Matthew 24, talking about now.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days, right? Read on.
Behold, famine and plague, and tribulation and anguish are set as scourges for amendment.
Scourges for amendments to change niggas, right? Read on.
Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap.
You missed verse 20.
Oh, Salaki, yeah. Verse 20. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man that comfort them. For the earth shall be wasted. For the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down.
Man, I think that's a really good. I think so. I think you're on to something, right? I think you're on to something. All praises. Listen, man. We are in some fantastic and amazing yet perilous times, right? But the scriptures tell us that wisdom shall be the stability of our time, right? And what's our wisdom? The law, statutes, commandments. If you keeping the commandments, right? The scripture saying, what's that? Psalms 34:7. The angel of the Lord campeth round about them that fear him, right? Isaiah 54, I think 17 says, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper," right? So listen, man, we got to continue to have faith and continue to, of course, couple our faith with the works of keeping the commandments, and that's what's going to be the stability of our time. That's what's going to deliver us, right? Lord willing, we out of here. We out of here soon. I don't know how all this is going to play out, to the T, but man, just sitting back and looking at what's going on in the global scheme of things it's fascinating, bro.
You know what? I just thought about it in verse 21, right? The victuals being cheapened. All right, we can see where, a lot of people say we're in World War III right now, right? And what we got going on, you see us, pretty much America profiting most from all this war going on, right? We think about World War II, right? What happened after World War II? You have baby boomers, where America was prospering, right? So these victuals being cheap and everything, this is all the spoils of the war. We're in another war, the third woe. It's going to be similar to Woe II, right? So, but the thing is, that's also going to be the blindsiding of, of the whore, because they're going to think, oh, we're prospering, and we're just, we're going into that spot we were when we left World War II, but not even realizing that, we're, this third world, like you said, we have these oracles, we have the Lord has blessed us with the foreknowledge, the foresight to see, what comes after that woe too. Whereas Esau, they're in the world, they're convinced that, we're just about to, spoil everything again, and things are going to go back to normal, right? But that's all to just blindside and puff up that pride, right?
Yep. Check this out, right? So, Jeremiah 49, I'll start verse 12. It says, "For thus saith Yahweh, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have surely drunken. And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it," right? That cup is coming around to Esau, right? Especially the American Edomite, right? Verse 13, "For I have sworn by myself, saith Yahweh, that Bosra shall become a desolation, a reproach, a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual waste. I have heard a rumor from Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent unto the heathen, saying, Gather ye together and come against her and rise up to the battle." So all the heathen are going to rise up against her. Who's the her, right? We'll get that in Isaiah chapter 47 in a second, right? Rise up against her in battle, right? And come against her. All right. It says, "For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen and despised among men." Obadiah said the same thing. Verse 16, "Thy terribleness hath deceived thee, the pride of thine heart, O thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks." This is exactly what Obadiah just said. "That holdest the height of the hill, though thou shouldest make thy nest as high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, saith Yahweh. Also, Edom shall be a desolation. Everyone that goeth by it shall be astonished, and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof. As in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, saith Yahweh, no man shall abide there, neither shall a son of man dwell in it." Right? So the Most High God said this about Edom. He said it about Babylon, right? Talking about future Babylon, right? But we know the scriptures call the Edomites what? The virgin daughter of Babylon, right? I was just wearing my Perpetual War Hebrew Department joint with the Isaiah 47, right? Sit in the dust, right? You got Lady Liberty just sitting in the dust. You can get that at perpetualwar.shop, right? But see how this is a lamentation for Babylon, right? Same language. "Come down, sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon." O virgin daughter of Babylon, not actual Babylon, virgin daughter of Babylon, right? When we read, what's that, Psalm 140, remember Edom, right? Psalm 137, verse 7. "Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, race it, even to the foundation thereof. O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed. Happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast rewarded us. Happy shall he be that taketh and dashes thy little ones against the stones." Right? So same language, right? Same judgment, right? This judgment is being put on Babylon, on Edom, right? Because the Edomites rule Babylon, right? So it says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon, sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones, grind meal, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thighs, pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man." Right? The Most High God's not playing with Babylon, right? Especially the Edomite. But you got niggas today that tell you, hey, these people, they can, some of them, they can repent, man. They can keep the commandments and faith in Christ, and they can get delivered. No. The Most High God don't say that. But false prophets say that, right? Listen, they make America great again. Listen, their pride is just mounting up to the heavens, and then the Most High God gonna bring that hammer down right? Because Babylon, the Edomites here in America, when we read Isaiah 14, it says, how has the hammer of the whole earth ceased? Most High God gonna bring that hammer down on the hammer of the whole earth. And it's gonna be such a fantastic thing that all the nations that are going to be debased, man, bro, when you read something like this, like, how do you get simultaneous salvation? Are you become like us? Right? Verse 10, Isaiah 14:10. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? So the Edomites here in Babylon, they're going to be weak just like the other nations who are being weakened by Babylon. But they just say, see, you see here what we're looking at. We're looking at simultaneous salvation. We see two classes of servants. We got the vassals, you know, if they come in and they get down and they blah blah blah. Nonsense. Absolute freaking nonsense. But hey, man, the end ain't gonna come unless there's false prophets. And the end is not gonna come unless there's false prophets. And the false prophets, niggas gonna eat it up because Israel loves lies. Israel loves deception. Mm-hmm. Israel wants all the smooth things.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. That's what it boils down to. Niggas want to hear smooth things. They want things to be soft. Nah, I'm not with that at all. Any questions in the chat? We're coming up on 2.5 hours.
Esau kind of. I was just looking into the date. I know World War II ended around 1945, right?
You cut out.
And we're talking about, you know, world. What happened?
Yeah, you had cut out. Say that again.
No, just thinking, you know, Esau be, you know, condemning himself and don't even know it, but the Lord be showing through it. Like the 3 strikes law. I was looking at the 3 strikes law, and that came out like 50 years after World War II. Right. So you got World War I, World War II, World War III. In between World War II and World War III, Esau mandates law, right? This is for itself. Hey, you do, you know, the 3rd time of some criminal, right, activity, you know, you strike out. You get the max penalty, right? And in World War II, right, the death toll was what? It was.
Russia had like 20 million people die.
Yeah,
Russia alone, crazy. They had more deaths than I think all other countries combined.
Yeah.
Death toll.
Yeah, the death toll was insane.
World War II. World War II caused an estimated 70 to 85 million deaths, making it the deadliest conflict in history, with roughly 2/3 being civilians, particularly in the Soviet Union and China due to genocide. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
Roughly 72.
No, but look, you see what on my screen?
Nah, it's not sharing.
Not sharing.
Or I don't see.
Oh, yeah, because I'm on a different browser. Slack it, right? So, oh man. Does it say this? Okay, so it changes the overview. But yeah, when I was reading this joint, right, it was saying that particularly in Soviet Union and China, due to genocide, and in parentheses like the H costs, like get the fuck out of here, bro. Like please,
out of here. So many people doing that shit. Like, y'all still pushing it.
bro. Like I saw a video the other day, where a guy was like, when you type in Google, like when did the H cause start? They said 1933. They was like 1933. Like World War II didn't start until like
Right.
in the 40s, like 38, something like that. So apparently the small hats, they declared war on Germany and were leading boycotts against German products all over the world. Like these niggas are full of it, bro. Like I tell you, Amalek, bro, is something else, bro. Amalek is truly something else. But damn, 70 to 85 million people dead.
Now think about that, right? That was Second World War. There's estimated 348 million people in America. So, like, you think about all the death in the Second World, like I was saying, like first strike, second strike, you got to do it bigger than 85 million.
Oh yeah, for sure. Look, all right, boom, boom, boom. All right, so death toll in World War I. World War I resulted in an estimated 15 to 22 million deaths, military and civilian combined, with roughly 9.7 million soldiers and over 6.8 million civilians perishing from combat, disease, and famine, making it one of the world's deadliest conflicts. Right. So you go from, let's say, 22 million to 85 million. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Now, if I'm not that,
and also think about how war is progressing, right? Like the way a war is progressing between World War I, World War II, and then World War II to World War III. I mean, the culmination of World War III is nuclear destruction. So of course it's gotta be, way larger than 85 million. Just by the tactic of the war playing out. We're not even mentioning all the death, leading up to nuclear, the nuclear destruction.
Check this out, right? So when we look at Revelation chapter 9, right? Revelation 9, looking at the trumpets, right? Revelation 9:13 says, and the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying to the sixth angel, which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the four angels were loose, and which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year, for to slay the third part of men. The third part of men, right? So you got 8 billion people on the earth. 8 billion people.
Divided by 3.
2.6 billion people. 2.6 billion? Damn.
So that's the casualties of all these proxy wars, the casualties, of course, like the nuclear destruction, the casualties,
It's from famine, niggas die. Bro, it's gonna be, bro. Listen, and Yahushua said, "Lest them days be shortened for the elect's sake,
right?
There'll be no more flesh on the earth." Man,
you sure, man? Strike out. You see that 3?
That part.
A third part. Yeah, all these threes.
Death come in threes.
Definitely. And I was literally just looking into that. Right.
Death come in threes. Yep. It's about to be bad, man. But any questions in the chat? Any questions in the chat? Man, Lord willing, we out of here soon, man. But it's about to get bad. So, brothers and sisters, make sure you gird your spirit, right? Hunkering down, keeping the commandments, keeping the faith in Hamashiach Yahushua, right? Doing what we gotta do, right? Loving each other, right? We gotta love each other.
And that means holding our standard. That's how we love each other, man.
Yeah.
None of this. It's definitely not time for no lovey-dovey shit, man.
Yeah, love ain't this romanticized nonsense that niggas do. Oh man, what a love at? So me calling a nigga out for his evil, that's not love. Me warning the sheep of evil niggas, that's not love. Listen, man, I don't know. I don't know, man. Israel kills me, man.
We just demonstrated all this death and shit coming, man. You think we're gonna be, you don't want to be in that, right? No, it's just we're not doing that.
I'm not joining unto the wicked. That's one thing I'm not doing. Is joining unto the wicked. But yeah, family. With that, I want to give all praise, all glory, all honor to the Most High God, whose name is Yahweh. Of course, we do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahushua, who the world ended with called Jesus Christ. Until next time, Shalom and Mawak Blah Blah.
Shalom, Yasharallah.